right, everyone. Welcome to Tea with Fran. How are y'all doing out there? Fran, how are you?
I'm doing well. It's been a busy day, but I'm here.
Busy's okay. Justin, how are you?
Doing good. Can't complain. I could complain, but nobody wants to.
Yeah, we all know you can complain. We'll save that for later in the show. Well, I just wanted to, I don't necessarily apologize to the listeners, but sorry we weren't able to get a new episode out to you last week or the week before. My traveling kind of threw our schedule out of whack, but as we've discussed on the show, it's important to travel and take time for yourself. So
Yes.
I don't feel guilty about it.
Shouldn't feel guilty.
So, but it is good to be back with you too.
Well, where did you go, Kevin?
Well, the big place I went to is a little state called Alaska. And
Wow.
for those of you that have not been to Alaska, you have to go.
Wow.
It is incredible. Spent a week up there, just exploring mostly the southern part of the state. Went out to this park called Wrangell St. Elias. It's the largest national park. I think it's larger than the smallest 40 parks combined. Something crazy like that. And hiked on glaciers and did a scenic airplane ride and saw more glaciers and wildflowers and hiking. It was just incredible. And eating the fresh fish and seafood, it was
got
awesome.
to do a little chart, like a little plane ride too, right?
Yeah. Went up for an hour and a half. And the big wildflower out there is this plant called fireweed. And it's like a pink magenta color. And even from the air, that you would just see a hillside that looked pink. It was just so dense and beautiful. And up close, it, from what I understand, it blooms from the bottom up. And once it blooms at the top, that means summer's over. That's kind of like the locals track summer. So when I was there, it was about halfway. So I don't know where it's at now. I think I was told it's near the top already, which is alarming, which is something we'll kind of dive into a little later, talking about weather. But it was awesome. Inside of this park, there's an old mine, and it was discovered, I think, in like 1900. And then, within 40 years, they gutted it, for all it was worth. But they had to build railroads to it and just build this incredible infrastructure, which is, some of it is still there today, which was really cool to check out. But it was beautiful. And when I go back, I want to go fishing. That's the one thing I didn't do that I want to do.
Yeah.
I like hearing that you're going to go back.
Yes.
Good.
I went up there for someone near and dear to me, and I have a feeling they're going to end up back there. So I have a feeling I'm going to end up back there. Justin, if you want to come fishing,
I'm always down.
let me know.
Yeah.
Justin, when was the last time you caught a fish?
I think we were up at the lake a little while ago. Been surf fishing, haven't really caught much. People catching little bluefish. Saw a guy catch I think it was a little under the 7 feet, but it was a bull shark off the Jersey Shore. Pretty cool.
Oh,
Pretty sweet. These guys, they go kayak. What they do is they ride their kayak out and they drop their bait way past the second shelf of the sandbar, and then they come in and then they let it sit or whatever. And then they reel them in. But I've seen guys catch some really big stingrays, and I've seen a couple sharks caught. But that was it was like a bait. Well, no, I don't want to say baby bull shark. The thing was thick. It was big.
Better to be the one catching the shark than the shark catching you. One last thing I'll mention about Alaska is I got this for you, Fran.
You brought me back a rock.
There it is.
Oh,
by request.
Yes.
And that rock actually came off of a glacier.
Oh.
Did you pick it off the glacier yourself?
Yeah. It was partially exposed, and I was
heavy.
able to get it out.
Feel it.
It's dense.
It is.
It's a good rock. This is a good rock.
That is a good rock.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of rocks in my days. There's not many great rocks, but this is a good rock.
I know there was something that even sparkled on this rock.
Yeah. I examined multiple rocks on the glacier, but that one that might have been like the first or second one I looked at.
It has a little sparkle right in there. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Add that to your collection.
I won't make it to Alaska, but I always wanted to.
Well, Alaska made it to you.
Yes.
There we go.
Yes. Thank you. Oh, this is so special. I'll put it in a special place. It gets warm very easily. to
It's
be
been in my pocket.
I got magma rocks. Like, what kind of rocks you got?
I was like, almost forgot about it. I was like, oh wait, I got this
hand warmer.
I got this lump. This isn't something to hold on to anymore.
Oh my. Okay.
So yeah, that's a nice new paperweight for you.
Oh, it's a wonderful one. Thank you. And I will have to, I'm going to put a little whiteout on and then put Alaska and the date and your name.
There we go.
Thank you.
Where's my rock? Where's my piece of Alaska?
Yeah.
Left out. Right? Fran, it's a grand. I'm the one who didn't get anything.
I don't think you asked for anything, did you?
Oh, so I have to ask for things. I'm gonna start asking for a lot of things. I'm gonna shoot for the stars, man.
Oh boy, I might have some extra rocks. We'll see.
I
left all my like clothes I brought with me in Alaska. And I just filled my backpack.
You're gonna have rocks that were in your shoes from hiking.
Pebbles, yeah. Oh, I might actually. And then I also just came back from my family vacation. So went away for a bit, worked only a week, and then went away again. So that was actually really nice. Just
it's a good way to break.
Not working too much. Finally getting to enjoy the summer.
Yes.
And it was great. It was really great. So hopefully our listeners out there have been able to travel. I've had a couple people come up to me while I've been out traveling, say they're listening to the podcast. So thank you to all those.
Yes.
And
yes.
They know how much we appreciate our listeners. So.
Yes, we do.
But it's been hot.
Oh,
and
very hot.
It seems like it's going to get even hotter for a little bit. And I think we wanted to kind of just discuss weather and how that's changed and the changing seasons and all that. So I don't know if you wanted to start that, Justin, if you got any.
I know it's hot. I love the heat. I don't know. I love being outside. I love sweating. I don't know. I've been playing a lot of golf lately. I was in Pittsburgh, played a round. So I played 18. Then the next day played in the golf outing, played 18. Then yesterday was in a golf outing, played 18. And now I'm going to be playing Friday in another golf outing, play another 18. So that's 72 holes of golf in 1 week. So I'm just out there just gripping and ripping. It feels good. It feels really good. And I'm loving it right now.
Right.
Good.
Well, I think if anybody's watching the weather news and they look at what is happening to Lake Mead, the drying of Lake Mead, and all the people that depend upon that water.
Yeah, that is scary stuff.
Well, and also we've known for a while that the oceans are warming and fish that and other sea life that we've never seen before are moving away from the equator and coming further north so that they can be healthy. You know, the rising temperature is affecting how the plants are growing, the water on this planet, and it does affect people that are 83, like me. When we have the heat wave, I really can't go outside because if I do go out and I get hot, I can't cool down.
Yeah.
Something happens as you get older and nothing works just the same. And so I love being outside. And I used to love summer. I'm a teacher. So when summer came, I could be outside instead of in the classroom. And I still love summer. But when we have these intense hot days that don't go away, like we've never had before, and everybody has heard that, we have the melting of the glaciers. Mm-hmm. And this is, our Earth is changing. There is truly climate change, and we have to accept that. We don't need to argue about how it happened, but we do know it's happening, and that means we will have to adjust our lives. So we better start looking at different ways, the way we build our houses, the way we insulate.
Yeah. I was going to say for you, we should build a little pergola outside with those, those sprinklers like at the amusement parks when you're waiting in line, the little misters that come down. We'll get some of those out there. We'll get you situated outside so you can be outside in the scorching heat.
I would love it. Give me a mister. But it is kind of a serious time because I don't know what we can really do to change it. Or can we just keep it where it is right now and don't let it get any worse?
Yeah.
Can we do that?
Well, I just want to say I like the point you made of let's not, get hung up on what's causing it. Let's just acknowledge
it's
that
happening.
It is happening. Because so many people can't even get past that point that it prevents any solutions from being, drawn up. But I was actually on a podcast a couple of years ago, and when I mentioned climate change, if you don't want to believe what's coming out in the news or whatever, you can talk to people, say, that have been farming their whole lives.
Mm-hmm.
Someone who's 83 and can remember what the winters were like 40 years ago here in New Jersey compared to now.
Yes.
Because, I mean, you can't deny what you've experienced yourself. Even for us, I felt like when we were younger, there was just more snow days, like larger snow totals.
Yeah.
And now
winter comes late. I feel every year it's just, I remember December we used to get like heavier snows. Now it's like kind of pushed off to January, and it goes into March. So it's like for snowboarding, at least most of my trips have been, I go in like February. So.
Yeah. And we can, acknowledge that weather and climate are two different things. And you can have a freak weather event. That doesn't mean that's going to be the norm. But I can remember as a child there being one Christmas when we used to have it at my parents' house, when all the kids were playing outside because it was like 45 degrees and there was no snow.
Mm-hmm.
And I just remember thinking, like, it's Christmas. There's supposed to be snow. Like, that's, how our brains are wired, at least up here in the north, the Northeast. But things are changing, and we do have to acknowledge that and start looking for some type of solution. Because like you said, if you look at Lake Mead, which is getting closer and closer to not being a viable water source, that is like terrifying.
It is terrifying, right? I watch and read Skywatch. I get this on my iPad, and they were showing pictures of it for the last few years, and it is happening fast.
Oh, like a time lapse of it,
yes,
year over year.
Yes, and there are so many people that depend upon it. And we do know that we have the science to change salt water to fresh water, but the problem is it costs a lot of money. So we always have to look at how we're going to do it.
We gotta go knock on Elon Musk's door and be like, "Yo, boy, we need to turn salt in the water."
Yes.
Is that how you would ask him?
Yeah. Say, "Yo, boy, you need to turn salt in the water." Something like that.
He might respond to that.
Yeah.
He's hip to it.
Right.
Yeah. I've seen some stuff online with like the Lake Mead water level where, when we used to take like maybe a year, now they're covering that in a couple months. And we used to take a couple months, they're now covering in a couple weeks as far as the level dropping. And they're finding boats, they found bodies, they found all sorts of things in Lake Mead. But I think it's something has to be done. I don't know what we can do here from New Jersey to help them out there, but
I know.
Discussing it and being aware of it. Justin, I'm sure you were hip to it.
Yeah, everyone says like recycle, but at the same time, it's like how much is actually being done, and like where to all right, you put it in a recycling bin, and I've seen it at the mall where you have like garbage and recycling, and it all gets funneled into like they opened up the thing and it all gets funneled into one bin.
Yes.
So it's just, I think it's a thought for humans to think like, oh, like I am helping, but in reality, it's like you might not be, and there's really no way. For at that moment for you to help make a difference. And what are you going to travel with that? Bring it somewhere else, or
right?
Yeah, as far as the pollution thing goes, these big corporations will tell you, don't use your air conditioner as much. Cut down energy usage. But then you look at how wasteful these corporations are. The pollution they do. One person's straw isn't a big deal compared to chemicals that are dumped in, and the Superfund sites that litter the landscape.
Didn't they want to do a thing where it was like it's like where you like people I guess work from home or take a day off to reduce the amount of people driving or commuting? Wasn't that talked about like a few years ago?
Yes.
But obviously you have some people who can work from home and others who can't. So maybe what do you make a holiday? Do you make a holiday out of it? I'm not opposed to it. Any day off is a good day. It's a good day off.
I haven't heard that, but I have heard about, I think it's like meatless Mondays. And because
I might have done that on accident. So I might have been, you know what I mean? Like meatless Monday. Why can't it?
Well, it's just because agriculture and, livestock uses up so much food supplies, but then also the emissions from them and the land they take up. They're like
cow farts, right?
Yeah, cow farts, are polluting, or a form. Polluting is not really the right way to describe cow farts, but that's also a form of emissions. And if we there's less demand for meat, then there's less farms and, hopefully positive change. I don't know if people are willing. Like, I don't think Americans are really willing to sacrifice like they used to be.
It is disappointing. But, another thing that I'm concerned about are the storms that we now have. Because I remember as a kid loving to go out in the rain and play in the rain. And it was just rain. Now it's a cell that's coming across, and it comes down like gangbusters. It's so much rain so fast, and that's why all this flooding is happening. There's a difference to the way the weather moves. And then just yesterday, there was news about the people in India, and hundreds of people have been hit by lightning, and they've never had anything.
Just
like
people just getting struck by lightning.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, and so that like real lightning storms. So we don't really know what's coming. Things are changing. And how about the permafrost in Alaska? Don't they say that's since there's a melting going on?
I haven't heard it so much discussed for Alaska as I've heard it discussed for like Siberia.
Okay.
And, parts of Russia that are massive with the permafrost. But yeah, it's another thing. There's all this trapped gas that will now be released. So I saw something, before I came over today, and it was saying that by the end of this decade, winter may be just December and January.
Okay.
And, summer is going to be April, October. It's going to be very short shoulder seasons.
Yeah.
And then, winter's going to be not long at all. It's just going to be all summer, which I know people out there are probably going to say, oh, that sounds great. Summer's the best. But when you watch the whole ecosystem get flipped upside down and animals not survive and plants and crop failure, then it's not so enjoyable.
No, it isn't. Well, we need to be aware. And if there are things, write to us. Give us some of your ideas.
Yeah.
That would be great.
Yeah. I think too, like it's like I think it's part of like I would say a large part of Americans too. I would say just people in general. It's like, well, I'm only gonna live for so long, so whatever I don't really care what happens, because at the end of the day, like I'm not gonna be around to deal with it. So I mean, that's a common thing my dad always says, which is funny. He's he busts my balls about it, but he's like, yeah, I'm not gonna be around for it. So he's like, it's your problem. You can you can deal with it. So I mean, but I think that is how a lot of people are too, to an extent, because it's like, well, how much? And it's just eventually, whatever will happen, but it's only, it depends when. So, if you're not around for it, lucky you. If you're around for it, it's gonna suck. And I think maybe towards the tail end of my life, I'll see some wild stuff, but we'll find out.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, that's a poor approach that many people have, and I don't know if it's a human thing, American thing, where it's that individualism, like I don't have to deal with it. I think, like how do we put community first to have a healthier, climate, ecosystem, society, however you want to phrase it.
All right,
Fran, what do we do?
It's very interesting because when we were living in Minneapolis, when we first got there, it wasn't real cold, but of course it gets very cold in Minneapolis. It used to anyway. It would be like 40 below zero, but you could still go downtown because they had all these great snow removal things and it would blow the snow in everybody's yard. And you just follow those downtown. And when you pulled in to park inside, and then there were like habit trails across the road. You could just go up and down the street by going into different buildings and then crossing in a habit trail. And it was wonderful. It was snowing and people were still out. They have adjusted beautifully to living in the cold. So I'm just thinking, will everybody adjust beautifully to living in the heat? That they can find a way?
Some people, yes. I think others, no.
Yeah.
Well, the bigger thing is, and I don't know, not to be political, but as it heats up, then people leave the equator. They migrate, to the poles, which is, people migrating north.
Yes.
That's what's going down in Texas, right? People coming up.
Yeah. I mean, right now
Yeah.
they're doing it for safety reasons, but when it becomes, health reasons, it's unsustainable to live near the equator, then that's when things can get even scarier than they are now.
Yeah. Well, let's think about it and be aware of it and keep our families as safe as possible.
Yeah. Before we move on from this, Fran, just speak to that, the importance of being aware and why you should pay attention to the news, or Skywatch is
Skywatch.
why you should be kind of tuned into those things, and why you shouldn't, bury your head in the sand.
Well, you don't want to be suddenly surprised by whatever happens, whether it's a terrible storm coming, more tornadoes, you need to be prepared. I really wonder how many people would know what to do if we suddenly didn't have any power again and there was no power source.
I kind of wish for that sometimes. Like I would just love just whatever the solar flare, whatever sun flare, whatever it is, just come and just wipe out everything.
Careful
just
what you wish for.
I mean, it would be terrible. Honestly, it would be total anarchy. It would probably go nuts. Everyone's banking too. I mean, everything would be fried. So
well. Think about, do you really have flashlights handy? You know exactly where your meds are, all your medicine that you need. Do you have food that is present in your pantry that doesn't have to be heated? Mm-hmm. Can you get along even for just a few days until we can get things going again? That's why being aware prepares you so that you don't panic. When people are too surprised, they can't do anything. They can't move. Some people can't get out of their cars when they are in a flood situation. They have to be rescued, and a lot of them die because they can't respond. Yeah. How many of you can swim? Here we live on a planet, that is mostly water, but salt water mostly. And there are so many people that can't swim. I mean, there are just a lot of things that I think people need to be aware of and prepare themselves and their families and the people they love for. And that's the only way to live very happily on your journey.
It's turning into a prepper.
Yeah, podcast. No, because it's very much like preparation. Essentially, just like being, having everything that's important and knowing, it's almost like common sense. It's almost to a extent like common sense.
It is common sense, but is it common?
No. You got a point.
Who's the comedian now, Justin?
Yeah, but you're right. It's like common sense. It's just that we always think, because we live in this beautiful country, that everything that we need is going to be very easily had if you need it.
Yeah, I've always felt that if you really want to see, like Justin mentioned, anarchy, just turn off the power grid because people will stop playing nice fairly quickly. And
there's people who are like addicted to like, I guess, who spend majority of their, especially now kids, like spending so much time on technology where their screen time, I don't know what their screen time is per day, but you have kids who are, growing up where we didn't have that, where we were around, I think, in the best time because we had like when the Game Boys first came out, like when, I don't know, there was all the different consoles, PlayStation, Xbox was first introduced, but like most of my time still was spent hanging with friends, just doing whatever, like outside, playing, whatever it is. But I think now there's so many kids who are like on social media and doing all this, so they just get buried in it. So like if you were to take that away, they would just crack because it's like that's all they know. That's all that's what they enjoy.
No, I'm glad you brought this up because I recently was at the doctor for just a physical checkup. And one of our conversations was how different people are, the younger people are who come into the office. They don't like to have eye contact. They don't like real conversation. They're not used to that because they're usually dealing with a computer, their phone, something that doesn't require it. They're only reading things. They don't like a real conversation. They don't, they just back up from it. But I think it is strange that when you are meeting people and they look away, they don't want to look you in the eye. And this is a real change because I think it's when you really look at people that you really connect with people. And there's that exchange of energy and feeling and eventually maybe love. But eye contact is very important.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that too, because like now, like a lot of kids too, they're learning like in school, like they're given laptops, they're learning code, they're learning this, right?
Yeah.
So I look back at like the days where it was like, I mean, this is before my time, where it was like the assembly line, right? You
Yeah.
have people who go in and just, it was like pencil pusher job, right? So it's like before you know it, that tech stuff, that coding, that infrastructure is going to be that pencil pushing job where you go and you just do that, and that's all it's going to be that, in a sense, 9 to 5 in front of your screen, just doing
Yes.
that along with everybody else, and that uniqueness isn't going to be there because everything's going to transfer to tech.
I know. Things are changing. People are changing.
Things have changed.
They have already changed. Yes.
Well, I guess to sum it up is to be aware,
Be aware.
be prepared,
Be prepared.
and make good eye contact.
Yeah.
Oh, always.
And have real conversations and listen to what people say. I think
Yes.
that's something that's kind of been lost. Is
Yeah.
everyone's talking to respond, not to hear. And
Yes.
I think it's really good when
Be a good listener.
to be a good listener. And speaking of listeners, should we move on to some Fran Mail?
Love
Oh,
it. Love
okay.
Fran Mail. I'm still waiting for when someone reaches out to say, I want Justin to answer a question. I know it's Fran Mail for now, but like I said, we talked about it on a podcast a while ago. If there's anything you want me specifically to answer, I'm going to answer it.
Please,
I'm gonna get amped up.
please write to
All right,
Justin.
yeah. Help us out here.
Just one question. That's it.
Help us out here. All right, we'll start with the smaller of the two questions. Is it really necessary to have Christmas trees and Christmas tree farms and every year cut down millions of trees and put them up just to discard them, a few weeks later? And is it necessary, Christmas trees? Christmas in July or August? What do you think, Justin?
It's what the good Lord intended. Grow a tree, put it up, decorate it, chop, and then when it's done, burn it.
Why do you have that accent?
I don't know. I just felt like being a pastor. All right, Fran, answer the question.
All right, Justin thinks is what the Lord intended.
Oh, well, it's a good question. And there's nothing wrong with the question. The thing is, there is a bigger issue that has to be addressed with this. And what I mean by that is wherever humans go and they set up their towns, cities, communities, whatever, they are impacting the earth usually in a very negative way.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you think about, would you rather have a Christmas tree farm where they cut down the trees and families come filled with joy to pick out their Christmas tree and take it home and celebrate Christmas, and then they plant another tree after that tree's cut? Or would you rather have a parking lot and another big condo? What would you really want? What is really better for where humans live? And so I believe that it's one of the better ways to treat the earth. And there are people who love to grow Christmas trees. That's what they feel. They love. I love trees, not just Christmas trees, all trees. And we used to go and we would get our Christmas tree with a big ball on it. And we did that for years. However, as we got older, the balls seemed heavier and you have to have dug your hole long before you're going to use it. And then you have to carefully take care of it while it's in the house, and you can't keep it as long, and you have to then get it outside and be sure that it's planted correctly. So we had to give it up because we weren't strong anymore. But I'm still glad I always have a Christmas tree, and you know that, Kevin, because you put it together for me. But I have a tree that I've had for years. However, the people who actually had to have a factory to make the tree, they, in a sense, whatever it took to make it, and then one day if it ends in the landfill, once again, it's not treating the earth with great respect. So this is a dilemma. We're humans, and we must try to live more gently on the earth.
Live more gently. Yeah, I, got that question, kind of thought, it's American consumerism and every Thanksgiving we kill millions of turkeys, and then every
They're
Christmas.
They're
we
delicious.
kill millions of trees. But I like that, when the alternative could be a parking lot or something not as gentle on the earth. And if we can do these Christmas tree farms and, be sustainable about it, if a family gets to show up and the father gets frustrated trying to drag the thing, the kids are cold, the hot chocolate gets spilled, and they're making memories, then it probably is for the good.
Good question.
Yeah.
Good answer.
Yeah. Something with a little more depth, and it's been asked for a long time, and it's no surprise that it made it to us eventually. This question is money the root of all evil? And
intent.
Yeah,
I would say intent is the root of all evil. It's what is your because intention is either good or bad. Whether you have money, if your intent's good, great. If you have money and your intent's bad, it's bad.
Good answer. The first thing that jumped out the minute I heard that question is I have so many very wealthy friends. They're wonderful people. They do wonderful things. They are community oriented. Money has not made them evil. But then I read in the paper or I see on the news where there are people who can't seem to ever have enough money, and they do bad things with their money.
Yeah. Greed is evil.
Yeah. It's coming from what you said. It's the human.
Yeah.
It's
the person.
That person.
Yeah.
Right. It's not the money.
Yeah, because my thought, Justin, you summed it up really well. I like that. Was money itself isn't inherently an evil thing.
No.
But when you let it control you and you're stealing money from people or doing bad things with it,
yes,
then it does feel evil. But
yes,
the person, a stack of dollar bills over here isn't going to hurt anyone.
No.
But, what you could do with that money, could potentially hurt people.
Sometime when we have more time, not today, because I know of the length of our podcast, but I think we ought to even address what is evil. I mean, what is it? I think it'd be interesting. The physical and spiritual side of life.
Yeah.
What is it? That would be fun. We'll think about it.
Yeah,
we'll figure out what evil is.
Okay.
Fran, was there Justin, anything else you wanted to add?
No, I think that was I think we kind of covered everything as far as like the money side goes. And I think there's some people who are like motivated by money. I don't think that's a bad thing. If your if your money motivates you, great, go out and get it and live your life and do what you want with it, but make sure it's not going to damage
that it doesn't hurt
others.
It doesn't hurt anyone, right? Okay. Because there are a lot of things that cause evil acts. I can think of jealousy as one.
Yeah. And I think it's also a power thing too, because there's I'm always around. I mean, a lot of the people I work with, do business with, a lot of these people have a lot of money, and I've seen across all walks of life like how different everybody is, and I've seen greed to the highest extent.
Yeah.
And I've seen people who are so humble with so much. So it's interesting. It's interesting to think of it like that as well. Because some people, with money, they assume they're here and anyone with lesser is lower than them. When in reality, as far as a financial thing, you're right? You have more than me. You're worth more. I'm not going to argue that. But as far as the well-being of the person, that doesn't mean you're better than me and I'm better than you.
Absolutely.
Yes. It's a good question, though. I'm glad they asked.
Yeah. Very thoughtful.
Yeah, I'm glad they asked.
Thank you to whoever asked that.
Yes.
And just a reminder, someone was telling me how they recently started listening and that they were a fan of the Army of Good.
Oh, wonderful.
And so keep doing Army of Good things. Oh, what else? Someone else, they were talking about you. I'm glad I remembered this. And how instantly listening to the podcast, they felt like you were a friend.
Oh, that's so nice. Good.
It inspired them. Your uniqueness in the world, it makes them want to search that out in others, because everyone, as we know, is unique.
Yes.
And they were just, inspired by you to look for folks. Not obviously, there's only one Fran, but look for other Fran Fran type people in the world.
Well, remember to try to do something good for someone else every single day. It could be a little thing. It's amazing how wonderful a small gesture can be. You know, if you have flowers growing in your garden, make a small bouquet and surprise somebody with flowers. Flowers always lift the heart.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I just wanted to touch on the episode we put together last week with the highlight reel. Good work on that, Justin.
Mm-hmm.
For those of you out there listening who want to introduce the podcast to someone, that's like the perfect place to start because it's a highlight from every episode so far. So share that with friends and family and those that need to hear what Fran and Justin have to say, and maybe myself.
And yourself,
too.
Yes.
You can still find us on Instagram, Tea with Fran Podcast. Connect with us there. We're on YouTube, Tea with Fran Podcast. And then, of course, we want the questions. We really enjoy working through them and those thought exercises. And you can email us questions or do Instagram or text, whatever. The email is teawithfranmail@gmail.com.
Yeah, we want more Fran Mail. That's probably one of my favorite parts of the podcast.
That would be fun. Yes.
I love everything. Anything that's off the cuff, it's my style.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, my questions are no good. I get it, guys. I get it. All right. Well, hey, I'm feeling good. And
Close it out.
Yeah, I'm excited to keep things rolling. All right. Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Good day, whatever.
Until next time.
Yep. There we go.